as you rise and come forward to join me in officially becoming part of the religious leadership of Israel and officially becoming a full member of our clergy. Mazal tov. The cloth to you. I'll be signing this together with Rabbi Professor Daniel Sperba, whose tshuva was distributed, and of course with Rabbi Joshua Maruf, one of Sara's halachic teachers who spoke so magnificently, and it reads, Bezrat, and the translation, Sarah bat Mordechai Halevi and Bathsheba, Sara Hurwitz, has studied and toiled in our holy Torah for many years. She has studied Torah and many halachot from important rabbis and halachic decisors, and has been tested in the laws of Shabbat, the laws of Kashrut, the laws of Nidah, and the laws of mourning. She has been found well versed in these laws, in the rulings of the Rishonim and the Achronim, and is qualified to respond in these areas of halakha with good judgment and clear reasoning. It is thus that we declare to the public that she is worthy la'anot l'chol shoel v'shoelet midva halakha, to answer any person in matters of halakha. Behold, Ms. Hurwitz has been serving for many years as a madricha ruchanit in an important congregation, is skilled and experienced in communal leadership, in officiating life cycle events, and in spiritual and pastoral counseling. She is well qualified to teach Torah to the large community and to lead the congregations of Jacob. And we are certain that her awe of heaven precedes her wisdom. We therefore find her worthy of receiving the title of Manhiga Hilchatit Ruchanit Toranit Marat, halachic, spiritual, and Torah leader Marat. Fortunate, Sarah, is the holy community that will choose Marat Sarah in honor to bask in the glow of her wisdom. The authority of the Torah will rest upon her shoulders to spread the knowledge of God throughout the land, in testimony of which we affix our signatures below. Mazal tov. Mazal tov.
Told me 15 years ago that I would be standing here today working in a shul as a spiritual leader, I would not have believed you. When I was about 17, my parents insisted that I take a vocational test so that I would be directed towards a career path rather than wander aimlessly through college. The results of this rigorous test showed that I would be best suited for clergy. I laughed. An Orthodox woman working in a shul as a spiritual leader? That just didn't exist. Standing here today, I wonder about my uncomfortable, nervous laughter. Is a woman in the clergy really that funny? That implausible? While women in positions of spiritual leadership are still somewhat uncommon in the Orthodox community, there is precedent for this phenomenon. The Chidah, quoted in the Pitchei Tshuva, records that even though a woman is disqualified from being a judge, a woman who is wise is fit to render a ruling. Isha chachama yochala lahorot hara'ah. If women are well versed in law, they can become authorities in any subject. Furthermore, the Sefer HaChinuch, published anonymously in the 13th century in Spain, commenting about the ban of entering the Beit HaMikdash in a drunken state, extends the prohibition restricting a drunk man from giving rulings to a woman from giving psak in the state. That is to say, that in a sober state, a wise and learned woman is fit to render a ruling. V'chei b'isha chachama haruya loharatz. Now, I'm not interested in focusing on the shakla v'tarya, the halachic debate of whether a qualified woman can render a halachic ruling or not, although it is clear that the halachic literature supports this. I want to know, who were all these nashim chachamat? Clearly, the Sefer HaChinuch, the Chidah, commenting in the Pirchei Tshuva, were dealing with a reality, with capable, learned women who were in positions of rendering rulings. And I believe that in every generation there have been nashim chachamot who have felt a spiritual calling and dedicated themselves to the service of their communities. A few such learned heroes come to mind. Devorah Hanaviyah, Devorah the prophetess, who judged and served the children of Israel in Sefer Shoftim. Beria, about whom the Gemara Pesachim says that she studied 300 laws in just one day. Yalta, wife of Rabbi Nachman, who through her expert knowledge in laws of Nida managed to influence Psak. The wife of Jonah the prophet, who says in the Talmud, attended the pilgrimage festivals, and the sages did not prevent her. Ochana Rachel Verbamacha, the maiden of Ludmir, living in the 19th century, who built her own synagogue and preached and led prayers and developed quite a broad following. Or Asnat Barzani, daughter of Rabbi Shmuel Barzani, living in the 17th century, who taught in her father's yeshiva. And these are just a few of the examples of Nashim Chachamot, of wise learned women. I can only imagine that there were many others who had a calling for spiritual leadership and who, despite the barriers blocking their way to achieve a public position of spiritual leadership, mastered halacha and quietly ministered to others. But that was then. Historical precedent aside, there's always been a strong tradition of separate spheres for men and women, and relatively few women have been able to come into positions of public leadership. Yet, while it is true that people do have a natural resistance to change, change does occur. Think about this. The first woman to lobby her community to ordain her as a rabbi lived in the late 1800s. But it wasn't until 1972 that the Reform movement ordained Sally Frisand as its first female rabbi. The conservative movement followed about 10 years later, and the Orthodox movement does embrace change, but the process of change is more methodical and slow. Look around. As the Gemara says, go forth and see how the people conduct themselves. One need not look much further than this brood to see the wise women of today, my colleagues, my teachers, who have forged ahead to learn and serve the community despite opposition to their doing so. I thank Rosh Kehila, Dina Nyman, Marta Da'atra of Kehilat Aruch Eliezer for paving the path for all of us.